Hello folks, I'm Jacqueline Drew, President and Principal Consultant here at Tenato Strategy, and I would like to tell you a little bit about how to develop a stronger offering for your company. Whether you're a product-based company or a service-based company, sometimes what you want to do is develop your offering so that you can make more revenue per sale, be more competitive, and also really solve your clients' problems better than you are currently doing so. So developing an offering is definitely a really strong way to improve sales and revenue in your business and profitability as well. But you might wonder, well, how do I go about doing that? I already have an offering, or this is what everybody else is doing, so don't I just do the same thing as my competitors? And actually developing an offering and making yourself different is one of the strongest ways that you can really gain a competitive advantage. So I'm going to give you 4 basic steps. The first step is to do some research with your clients. So when you talk to your clients, you want to ask them things like, what could we be doing for you that we aren't already doing? Are there certain aspects of our service that, say, you have to go to another company for because we don't already offer them? Or is there any time that you say, geez, I wish they were open at a different time of day, or I wish that you guys sold this, or I wish that you offered this aspect of the service, because if I could go to, if I didn't have to go to 2 different companies or 3 different companies to get my problem solved, it would sure be nice. So you really need to have like an exploratory kind of conversation with a group of your best clients. Usually, at least half a dozen, maybe a dozen clients will be useful in getting that kind of information. So once you do that, it helps you to kind of generate a whole bunch of ideas. And then the question is, what do you do next? So the next step is to really look at your competition in detail. And when I say competition, I don't just mean companies who directly steal business from you or who operate in your immediate geographic area. I mean companies that have similar services. They could be in any other part of the world, in fact. And if you look around at enough different kinds of competitors, so I use that term loosely, or exemplary companies in your industry, you can get ideas of new services that you might be able to offer that you're not already offering. Now, when I say even in your industry, you could also look at companies who say do aspects of sort of what your suppliers do, or aspects of the service that you are suppliers to. So you could look at kind of a broadening and vertical integration as other options. So between the first step, which is talking to clients, and the second step, which is really researching competitors and other kinds of companies, you can generate a lot of ideas for brand new offerings. So then the question becomes, okay, so do I just have a whole bunch of new random offerings just because they do it? Does that mean you're supposed to do it? Well, of course it doesn't. What you need to do then is look back kind of at your mission and at your ideal clients. And what you need to do is imagine, say, one type of ideal client that would come through the door that would have a problem. And when that client comes through the door with that problem, you're going to have a solution. And we're going to assume that that solution is something that that client's going to say yes to. So what you do is you imagine, what is the first thing I would do for that customer that comes through the door? I would do this. I would come up with an original concept for them, or a way to solve their problem. And then maybe I would draw that up, or maybe I would create a group of products for them, or whatever it is that you do. You imagine step by step by step how you would go about solving that client's problem, right through till making the sale. But even after making the sale, how would you then follow up and continue to serve that client's need for those kinds of problems over and over again? So if you can imagine a sequence of how you would serve your ideal client, assuming that they would say yes to everything, that's kind of how you would really come up with a whole sequence of an offering, a full and competitive offering. Then you can kind of repeat that exercise for different types of customers in different types of industries or different demographics, depending on how many you feel you can realistically serve. So really, that's kind of the creative aspect of developing an offering. Now the final thing is to really refine that so that you can take all of those potential offerings and go, which ones can I realistically deliver on? And it may not even be that you have to do them all in-house. Some of them you might have to sub out, but you could sort of create the solution through your company, and the potential client doesn't even need to be aware that you're sourcing some of that from other areas. But that helps you build a broader offering than you might be able to offer alone. And it also gives you some opportunities to grow into those services in the future and bring them in-house if you indeed develop enough demand for them. So in a nutshell, it's a kind of 4 basic steps. Research your clients, research your competition, imagine what your ideal clients want from you from start to finish, and then refine it. And if you want to get really fancy, you can create nice little brand names for your different service offerings or solution packages, your gold, silver, bronze, but of course you're going to be more creative than that, right? So that's it generally, and thank you very much for listening to this YouTube video, this off-the-cuff YouTube video. I am working on a book which will be out later this year, which will give you some really cool examples of how this type of thing is done. So do subscribe, and thanks for listening.